Morning, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Pinball here, as normal. Well, today I wanted to discuss a topic that was suggested by a couple of you. It's a topic we've all broached at one point or another in our careers, if you will, as preppers. How to explain to your family that you're a prepper, how to get them on board a little bit, or at least try, okay? I feel that we as preppers, we've been told so many times that what we do is crazy that we start to think everybody but us sees the behavior of prepping as irrational, okay? When I discussed it with my daughter one time, she said, "Oh, you're one of those people preparing for doomsday, that the world is going to end." No, not at all, okay? You see, preparation isn't irrational at all. We do it all the time. We just don't give it a name in our everyday life. Hell, it's part of what made us progress and advance as a species in the first place, okay? Without the act of preparing, a lot of us wouldn't even be here today. Our ancestors wouldn't have gotten very far if they didn't learn how to prepare for long, harsh winters or animal attacks or warring tribes or you name it, okay? I mean, even today, we all know that those who start planning for retirement early usually have a much easier time later in life, okay? Preparing for difficult times is one of the most rational things that we as human beings do, okay? So, in discussing this with your family and friends, obviously the first person that you need to understand what you're doing is your spouse, okay? The absolute best thing you can do for a spouse who may or may not understand your reasoning is to simply open up and communicate your concerns. You married each other, okay, for better or worse, right? If there's one person in the world that should understand you, it should be your spouse. Start off by sharing examples of past situations and try to make it as relatable and as personal as possible. As much as I thought I'd understand about living through harsh winters in Chicago and Boston, or power outages, or Hurricane Sandy, and life in the Army, nothing compared to the stories that my wife told me about hard times in the Soviet Union. Okay, so if you get into it a little bit here, the next thing you want to do is explain to your spouse how it's no different than buying health insurance or life insurance or car insurance. I mean, prepping is basically taking out an insurance policy against future disasters. If you've ever been through rebuilding after a weather event, hurricane, tornado, pick one, or maybe a wildfire, the light bulb should go on with your spouse right about now. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? That actually makes sense. I remember what we did that time, okay? So, start slow. I mean, don't start out with worst case scenarios. Don't go right into EMPs or nuclear war or something like that, even if that is what you're preparing for, okay? Just ease them into the idea. Explain to them that it's also preparing for things like a job loss or a loss of income or an illness that could cause you to have to take time off of work, okay? Your spouse knows you and should support you. This should be probably the easiest talk of the three that we're going to discuss here. Next is talking to your kids about preparedness, okay? Now, here is, a little more touchy. You need to keep this simple and obviously age appropriate, okay? The last thing you want to do is overcomplicate things and cause your children unnecessary stress. A 16-year-old is going to understand a hell of a lot more than a 5-year-old. But then again, a 16-year-old is going to be a hell of a lot more skeptical too, okay? For a 16-year-old, ask them what they do if they lost their cell phone. For them, that is a shit hits the fan event, okay? Focus on things that make sense to them and try to relate to them using experiences they can understand. Talk about what they would do if a disaster hit while they were at school. What would they do? Are they a leader or are they a follower? Do they, or you for that matter, trust their teachers to make the right decision to get them out of a bad situation? Think about Parkland or Columbine, okay? Is your child trained to know what to do? That might open their eyes a little bit. I mean, teenagers they've seen what's on the news. They might have thought about what would I do in this situation, okay? The 16-year-old at least, okay? The 5-year-old better not be in charge in this kind of situation. We got bigger problems than that, right? But take it slow with any age group, okay? This one is as scary to have with your kids as the talk, okay? And it's a hell of a lot more critical, okay? Try to work the topic into everyday conversations. Make sure you involve them and ask for their feedback. When you're at the store, ask the 5-year-old to get a second box of cereal. And when they look at you weird, just say, it's for our preps. Eventually, they'll start having fun with it. So they might start asking you for 2 of everything from now on. So be careful of that one, okay? Take the time to point things out when you're out and about, okay? Help develop their situational awareness. Point out things like exits in stores and ask questions about how they'd respond in certain situations. Of course, you got to be age appropriate here too, okay? Don't ask things like, what would you do in an active shooter situation to a 5-year-old? To your 16-year-old? Yeah, ask them. What would they do? Okay. It may come up in their life. We all hope it never happens to us. I hope it never happens to anybody that's watching this video. But everybody in every situation that's ever been in this also hoped it would never happen to them too. Okay. So, talk to them about it, but kind of put them in the place. No, don't freak them out over it. Don't every time you go somewhere, where all the exits, what would you do? Just every once in a while you walk into a store and it kind of looks a little different. Maybe it's the first time you've ever been in the store. And, you just kind of look around and say to the kid, any idea what I'm doing? No, Mom, what are you doing? I'm just seeing where all the exits are, just in case something happens. Do you know where they are? Have you found them out already? They'll eventually get the idea of what you're doing. It'll make a little bit of sense in a non-threatening way. Okay. So try to make it a little bit of fun for the kids, because eventually the kid's going to come up to you and go, Mom, you know where all the exits are? Yeah, I've already seen them. I found 3, but there's 4, Mom. Oh, where's the 4th one? And that's when you know you've got them. Okay, that's when they're now thinking like they should be thinking. Okay. Now the hardest one. What are things you can do to explain to your friends and your extended family? Brothers, sisters, parents, grandparents, whatever would be. Okay, your friends, pretty self-explanatory. Okay. First off, don't stress this one. Okay. It's your life. It's not theirs. You got to live yours, okay? The best day of my life was the day I decided I wasn't put on the face of the earth to make other people happy or to follow their rules, okay? I had to take care of myself, and in succession, my family's life first, okay? If you feel that you must give your parents, brothers, sisters, family, friends, whatever, reasons, why you do it, take this one very casually, okay? Maybe, don't even bring up the subject or anything like that. Start off by giving them a gift of preparedness. I mean, Christmas is coming up, okay? Give them something like a small vehicle preparedness kit or a first aid kit. And when they look at you like, Mom, or, Sis, what's this all about? It's like, well, just want to make sure if anything crazy happens that you guys got a flat tire on the side of the road, you've got all the equipment you need to get through the night, stay warm or something, or, just want to make sure when you're down at the beach and, somebody gets hurt or whatever, you've got a first aid kit in your car and you're not hoping there's a lifeguard around that knows what he's doing. Okay. It's a good way to open a conversation and start very slowly to maybe change their mindset and understand why you do what you do. Okay. It's also something they can easily wrap their minds around and get them to start thinking about what else they might need. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? We do go to the beach quite often. And I do remember getting sunburn out there or something, and we didn't have any aloe vera with us. It's little things like that all of a sudden eventually start to grow into bigger and bigger and bigger things and become reality in the prepper world, okay? Another idea, give them a book, okay? A book is a great non-threatening way to introduce the subject. Give them the book 1 Second After by William Fortune. You probably read it yourself. Give it to them. If they actually read it, maybe it'll open their eyes a little bit. Other than that, and right now, there's probably not a better time to be talking about this. Use what's in the news, okay? When there's a disaster in the news, use it as a way to bring up the topic. Hell, we're going through COVID right now, okay? Ask them what their plans are if we go into a complete shutdown for 3 months. I mean, don't go overboard, but try to get the conversation started. Try to get your friends or family to think about what would they do in that situation. Okay, and hopefully their answer is, well, I'm coming to your house. Okay, no, you're not. I don't have enough food for 18 people in my house. Okay, I'd stay away from politics here. I mean, obviously, political crap that we got going on right now is an event, if you will. But politics just gets people to put walls up, and then the whole conversation is useless. But things like COVID or hurricanes or wildfires, depending on your area, those hit a lot closer to home. Okay, if you live out in anywhere out west, California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, whatever it is, there are fires all over the place. I mean, have you had those conversations of what are we going to do if the wildfire comes to us? And God knows down south here, we have a hurricane a week this year. So, what are everybody's plans? Have those conversations. Those might be very easy to have because we're all living them at the same time on top of COVID. Okay. If you continue to do things slowly, okay, not going out and buying massive amounts of food and water and firearms to stockpile all in one go, your family's just probably going to think of you as an overly concerned dad or mom, okay? That's certainly not a bad thing. It's infinitely better than being known as the crazy prepper dad, okay? In the back of their minds, they're probably going to be thankful. I mean, after all, if something does happen, they know who to go to. They're thinking in their mind, hey, Dad's got this covered, okay? Remember my video about leadership? Okay, guess what? They just realized who the leader is, okay? No matter how hard you try, there are some people who are never going to see things your way. You can't do it, okay? As much as that may hurt, especially when it's someone you love, okay, somebody you really care about, you may just have to let things go and hope for the best. In the end, there's only so much you can do or say, okay? If someone refuses to care about their readiness to face disasters, be satisfied that you've done what you can, and then move on and focus on yourself and your immediate family. Even Christ knew he couldn't save anybody, but he damn well tried. See y'all tonight. Pinball out.